Good morning, everyone. This is Allison from Fanshawe Pioneer Village. Today we are going to be making a yarn doll. So I have two examples here. One, well, it is kind of your traditional yarn doll. This one's head is all floofy from being carried around. And here's another version of a traditional yarn doll. Obviously, we have been using modern yarn. We didn't spin this wool into yarn ourselves and then dye it. This is yarn that we got at the store so that we could avoid any issues with wool allergies for when we do programming. But today, for your yarn doll, all you need is some yarn. If you are a crocheter or a knitter, worsted weight yarn is the best. Generally, a single colored one is preferable. Don't use those multicolor blend ones. This obviously is speckled. That's perfectly fine, but not the tricolor, like this section's green and this section's blue and this section's purple. Those ones don't work as well. If you're using things like baby weight yarn, it's a little bit less appealing and it doesn't work quite as well. Same thing if you're using bulky yarn, so worsted weight is your best bet. If you don't have yarn but you happen to have some of these lying around, these are little sections from like tapestry groups. This one is wool, which is fine. You can use this as well. This is actually sort of pre-prepared for you already in its nice little bundle. So we'll do it both ways today, both with our yarn that we have to ravel as well as one that we don't. So to make your yarn doll, what you need besides your yarn is something to wrap it around in order to create essentially this, which is why if you have one of these, you're all ready to go. So I have two things here. This is what we use at the village most often. This was like a weaving board. You can see that there are sides where you would put the yarn through on either side. This is been cut off on this side just because this works perfectly well. The other thing you can do is use a box. So I have my cookie box here. I'm going to use my cookie box because then it gives me an excuse to have to eat these cookies. So we'll put those to the side. We will open up our cookie box. Remember, I want to open it both sides. Take it apart, so find where the seam is. Open that on up so that it's an open box. We'll cut off the sides. So you want to make sure you have some scissors handy. They can be any kind of scissors. I'm just using my safety scissors that I have here. And we want sort of the longer, wider piece, just because it'll make it easier to do. You don't want just the little side flap of your box because it'll be a little bit more tricky to keep your yarn on that side. If you are doing this now and you haven't made yourself a spinning top yet, you can always reuse this after you've wrapped your yarn on it for your yarn doll to make yourself a spinning top. We'll cut off the flaps so they don't get in the way. And that leaves you with a rectangle of cardboard. So this is obviously smaller than the piece that I use for work. So we're going to wrap it around a couple of times extra. All you need to do is get your yarn. You can hold it down and you wrap it. Now this is where if you have yarn that's in a ball or is in like one of those yarn holders, it works really well. I don't have a yarn holder, so normally when I crochet or I knit, my yarn sits in my haversack at work, so I don't have one of those. So you just wrap it around here multiple times, just around and around. You want to wrap it around probably, if you're having a cookie size box like this, probably about 15 to 20 times is good. With this, we do about 13 or so, because you're going to fold them over. So what are we at? 2, 4, 6, 7. Ooh, strap around. Ooh. Now this is the one thing you want to make sure that if your cardboard like this is bendy, you want to make sure that it's not bending over and collapsing on itself. That's why this is also really good. It's nice and thick and it's sturdy. If you have cats around or pets or something, make sure that they're out of your room if you're trying to play with yarn, because it can be a bit of a hassle with them in there. There we go. It's about 15 times or so. We'll just do it a couple more times. And then what you want to do is cut off the end and slide it off of your piece of cardboard. Just like that. So, because of the length of our piece of cardboard, if we fold this over, it'll be a little bit of a stubbier doll, but that's okay. We can do that. If you want it to be longer, you can just leave it unfolded. But if that's the case, you're going to want to wrap it around more and more times so that you have a substantial body, because like this, it's not going to be very long. It'll be kind of wispy. So we're going to fold this over just like that. So it's all doubled over like so. This makes it just slightly shorter than if we were using this. The next thing you want to do is keep your end of your yarn handy and you want to cut off some pieces to use as ties. So if you don't want to waste the yarn, you also can use things like elastics. Hair elastics is completely fine. So I have this here. I'll wrap it around, and you're going to put it around where the neck of your doll is. So if you made the handkerchief dolls with me a couple of weeks ago, it's a very similar idea where you got to make sure that you're keeping your body of your doll looking like a body and not just whatever you're making your doll out of. So very, very similar activity. So here we have our head of our doll all tied off. Now it kind of looks like an octopus or a little ghost, just like our rag dolls did. Kind of looks like a little ghost. What you want to do then is pick a couple of strings up from the side, and that can be your arm. So you don't want to take too many so that your body of your doll becomes disproportionate, but you want to take a couple so that it looks like an arm. So it's sort of substantial, but not too much. But remember, you're going to need another arm, and then you're either going to need legs or a body for a dress. So I have here, let's see, 1, 2, 4, 6. I have about 7 loops here. That's perfect. Again, get your yarn, need a tie, and you're going to tie it off where the wrist would be on your doll, because this is its arm. You don't need to tie the shoulders like we did with our rag doll. So, tying around their wrist. Let's move this rag doll out of the way. Do a double knot. Again, just like that. There is one arm for our doll. Now I'm going to do the same on the other side. Approximately the same number. Here we go. Let's see how good I did. 2, 4, 6. There we go. Oh, they're all wrapped together. Here we go. About 7 or so. Perfect. Again, cut a tie. Wrap it around where your doll's wrist would be. Again, make sure that you're not tying in any extra that you don't really want. Oh, my cat has come in and obviously has found my yarn. Just gonna try and cut it. Oh, don't steal it, I need that. You can hear him eating the yarn under the table. Sako, stop it. What a little bum. So there's our arms. Now we can leave our doll like this and it's like a dress, but you also have the option of making it legs. Get away from here. Here, we'll save it. Look, he did save me some work. He cut my yarn. So I have my little piece now. I'll use this for my ties now. So if I would like to make my doll have a body, what I need next is a tie for around the waist, just like that. So get a tie. This would be around where your belt would be. Or your waist. Give it a tie like that. And now we can divide up the rest of the loops to be legs. So divide it in two, about in half, get 2 more ties. 1, and tie them around on your ankle, where your edge of your sock will go. Or your boot if you're a pioneer, because you would probably have stockings on that would go up a little bit higher. One there, like that. If you're wanting to make your doll extra fancy, you can use different colored yarn for the ties, and then it can be like adornment or clothes. So you could think about it as though your yarn doll maybe is a voyageur. Voyageurs often wore sashes around their legs and around their arms to help keep their shirts in place, to keep bugs from getting up them, but also as a support for their muscles, since they are doing a lot of heavy lifting, moving around a lot. So here we are. We have our yarn doll, just like that. Kind of looks like a scarecrow, so this is a really good fall craft as well. You can use, if you have really long grass, or if you have like wheat or straw, you can make them out of straw. It's a little more brittle, so you want to make sure that they're not dry, but you can do it with grasses and ornamental grasses and things like that. We do not recommend having Phragmites in your gardens, so if you have Phragmites and other types of ornamental grasses, you might want to consider taking them out, because those are invasive species and that's not necessarily good for our environment as we look towards sustainability of the system. So here's one option, just like that. Now, we're going to use this one and we will try making another type of yarn doll. Oh, here comes my cat right in front of my screen. So here is our other set of yarn. Again, this is the yarn that I had from our tapestry set. So, same idea. We're going to get rid of this cat. Oh, he's going to have to sit on my lap if he's going to stay here. So, same idea. You want to tie off where the head is. This time, instead of doing pants and legs, we will make it into a dress as just another option. So you want to tie around where the neck would be, or a necklace, or a kerchief, or a tie, kind of like we're using this to tie a tie, huh? So, here's our head. Then what we want to do, remember, is pull out some arms. So just pull out a couple. Because we're going to have this be a dress, we want the bottom to be fuller. So we'll pull out a couple less ties this time, perhaps. Now you want to tie around the wrist. We're going to do that on both sides, because remember, we have 2 arms for our doll. You don't have to have 2 arms for your doll. You can have any number of arms for your doll that you like. There's 1. You can make your doll an octopus if you really want to. Arm number 2. We have our doll. You again can put a waist on it. If you're going to put a waist on your doll that makes it have a dress, I recommend putting the waist up higher, since a lot of the different kinds of clothes people were having their dresses have higher waists. If you like Jane Austen, you can make it a Regency doll and make it very, very high up and have it have an empire waist. So we're going to tie it up a little bit higher than on our other doll. Tie it up. There we have our second doll. Just like that. One of the options you can also do is, instead of leaving their limbs with the loops intact, you can cut the loops. Just gives them a little bit of a different look. So let's do that for this one. We'll do the same for the bottom with the skirt. So just make sure you don't miss any. Like that. And then if you want, you can trim any long pieces, because you might have the tail from the start or the end of your wrapping there. So there you have it. 2 yarn dolls. 2 different ways. One where you have to wrap the yarn yourself, one where you might have already had something wrapped, as well as an example of how to wrap it. We hope everybody has a wonderful morning, and we'll see you this afternoon for a story. Have a great day.